Here we
Hola.
are together again.
Hola,
I'm Christina
hola.
Hoca.
Hi, Tin.
My name is Stephanie Urbina Jones,
I'm Patricia Bond.
and we
And we're
are
the
the Texicana
Texicana
Mamas. Hola, mis amigos.
Uy, 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 uy. Thank you all for joining us. And the Texas Heritage Music Foundation presents 16 with the Texicana Mamas. Tonight's a celebration of culture, life, and stories behind our songs. So thank you for joining us.
Muy bienvenidos, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us on this very special night of celebration to our culture in Mexico. 16 de septiembre is a very special holiday, the biggest Independence Day in Mexico. There are a couple of other Independence Days in Mexico, one from France, which is Cinco de Mayo, and one later in 1910. But the most important one is the one from the early 1800s when we got our independence from Spain. So this happened in early 1800s, and in Dolores de Hidalgo, which is where they gave the first grito de independencia. So let's give it to them. Ahua!
We're so excited about tonight. We're so excited to celebrate this beautiful 16 with all of you, our culture, and tell you the stories behind our songs. We want to take a moment and thank the Texas Commission of the Arts and the Texas Heritage Music Foundation, Dr. Kathleen Hudson and Janice Ballard, for making this possible tonight.
To preserve and perpetuate the traditions of Texas music and document the role Texas music has played in society. Guided by the mission statement to make a difference in the world through the singing of songs and the telling of stories, the foundation is committed to taking the healing power of music each month to nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and the Kerrville VA hospital. Music is the longest held memory we have. And when all is gone, the music is still there. The foundation also makes history come alive through the story and song in area schools, boys and girls clubs, and at-risk youth facilities. We have seen miracles through these programs. To learn more about the Texas Heritage Music Foundation or to make a donation, please go to www.texasheritagemusic.org.
Orale. So I think I'm the first one to go at the Bluebird Cafe, eh? The way we all came together was 2 years ago on my parents' 55th wedding anniversary. It was September 14th, and it was Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was my first trip to Nashville. So I called up my friend Stephanie Urbina from my hometown in San Antonio, and I said, look, I'm coming to your town. I'm coming to Nashville, first time ever. Do you have a singer-songwriter in the round that I could be a part of? Just so I could clack my castanets and say I played Nashville. And she managed to put together a singer-songwriter in the round celebrating Latina power, you know, and at the Bluebird, the legendary Bluebird Cafe, which is known as the Shh Club. And we had everyone out of their seats that night. At the end, everyone was yelling gritos out of their seats. And what made it so amazing was that we were sharing our stories behind our songs. And all of us being from San Antonio. We even had Rosie Flores, our dear friend there, who joined us on stage singing in the little songwriter in the round. But we just, every song that we've sang mirrored our, you know, our upbringing in San Antonio, and we were honoring our ancestors and our familia, and we just knew it was more of a calling after that night, and we had to keep it going. But this next video we're going to show you shows you the energy and the synergy of that night, La Mágica.
Some
Castanet solo.
Bluebird's never seen nothing like this, man. Let me tell you that.
Let's change later. Oh, I wish it had the sound, but you can just see everyone out of their tubes, right, Stephanie?
Amazing.
Amazing. Buddy and Billy Shannon are in the audience. It's
Hi.
wonderful.
So you guys get a little taste of the magic that happened last night. You know, we had no expectation. It was really just magic that happened. You know, I was such a big fan of Tish Hinojosa when I was going to college. There she was on 6th Street on the back of the Corona trucks, this beautiful Latina. And there weren't many of us, you know, there was Linda Ronstadt. Then there was Tish Hinojosa. I was like, man, where are we? Where are we in music, in TV, in movies? So she was made such an impression on me. And then, of course, I had met Patricia Vaughn, this like rockin' Espanol, I mean, gorgeous actress. And so we just came together in Nashville just by happenstance. And we sat around, played our songs. Then we played the Bluebird. People flew off their seats and we knew something magic was happening. And at the end of that night, we had an amazing opportunity to play some gigs immediately. So we said, hey, we need a name. And we became the Texicana Mamas. So we did what mamas do. We said, what do we do next? We got to nurture what we love. And we loved what was happening. So Patricia booked us for Latina Palooza in Austin during South by Southwest. We said, hey, wouldn't it be great to be on Tiny Desk on NPR? And Tish said, hey, I have a tiny desk. It was my desk when I was a little girl. We said, hey, let's get that tiny desk and let's just put it down in front of the Continental Club with the Austin skyline behind us. And let's sing this song that I wrote called Vámonos. So we're going to give you a little taste of that moment that kicked it off in Austin. Vámonos, chicas.
Vámonos. Woo! My goodness, that was so wonderful.
I know.
What a crazy memory. Like, you know, it was also spontaneous, which is, you know, how so many of our things have come around. And next thing we knew it, we're talking about writing songs together. And, you know, thinking about bigger things like touring and a record possibly. And so we got together and, you know, being that Patricia and I both live in Austin, Stephanie's in Nashville, but Patricia and I had just said, we have to just get together and do something. So she came over to my house and she had this idea because of so many things that have been going on in our country in the last like year and a half, 2 years. There's a lot of changes and a lot of energy, whether it be negative or positive, but we're like, you know, a lot of things are happening. And for us at that time, there was a lot of stuff regarding the border, which we all care about, our border with Mexico, and what's happening to people that are searching for a better life. And but we also just thought, Patricia and I thought that she came over with this idea about this is our land, this is our country. We are Americans, we are Mexicans, you know, Texas, Mexico, we are all here. And the important thing about our Latino culture is that we are very inclusive. And so we took this song as one that we just wrote, and then that became one of the first songs that we recorded together. And it was called Viva la Patria, Long Live Our Homeland. And our homeland isn't necessarily Mexico, the United States, but it's a combination of the two. And here is some parts of that recording.
Lucha por tu honor.
No olvidaremos los fallecidos, siempre vivirán aquí en este corazón. Viva la patria, lucha por la herencia. Viva la patria, todos unidos. Viva la patria, lucha por tus derechos. Viva la patria, lucha por tu honor. Lucha por tu honor. Lucha por tu honor.
¡Viva la patria!
Viva! It was so fun. Also, you know, flashback to when we played the Kennedy Center and singing that on stage, and Tish explaining the story behind that song was just so powerful. You know, we've all toured internationally and spreading our music, but to do it, joining forces together, I can't tell you, if you've ever seen the movie, Pixar won the Academy Award for Best Animation, Coco, that's how it felt, like our ancestors calling us to don't stop now, tell our story. That's how powerful that night was at the Bluebird and in the studio singing these songs and recording the songs we wrote to tell our story. Which brings us to Quarantine Kitchens. Here we are in the darkest time in global history together. We are in this together. So we wanted to write a song about where love starts in our kitchens, in our quarantine kitchens. And so we wanted to put it all in there. We love barbacoa, tamales, pan dulce, bailando, abuelita in the kitchen making pollo con arroz, topo chico, tequila, sangria. It's all in there, you guys. And we invited our fan base from like 8 or 9 different countries to submit their iPhone quarantine videos in their kitchen. So gotta check out the video, and here's a little bit of it.
Cocina de amor. Cocina de amor. Topo chico en mi mano y todos mis hermanos. Mi cocina de amor. Tequila, tequila. Familia, familia. En mi cocina de amor. Tortilla, tortilla. Sangría, sangría. En mi cocina de amor. Bailando, bailando. Riendo, riendo. En mi cocina de amor. Cantando, cantando. Canción de alegría en mi cocina de amor.
From Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, Spain, Italy, UK, Mexico, all of our friends are in it. It's so great.
Oh my gosh, yes. So it was so wonderful to see even both my kids are in the video with their new babies, and you know, our love in the family in the kitchen really keeps, you know, rolling on through our lives. But Um, so in the history and the ongoing story of the Texicana Mamas, uh, we're still kind of developing this thing over the last year and a half, 2 years. And Patricia and I got an opportunity, because we're in Austin, to join forces with the House of Song, which is an organization, a musical entity that sprouted up from one of Austin's wonderful songwriters, Troy Campbell, with the country of Denmark. And somehow he, wonderful guy that he is, not only a wonderful songwriter, but somehow we've gotten this cultural contingency of people that put together songwriters from Denmark and from Europe to come to Austin, Texas, and write songs together in a kind of a mutual, artistic thing. So we were invited because now, like we're just in Austin, we're hanging around, and it's like, why not just bring Austin songwriters together? So they invited Patricia and I to go to their little house that they have situated in Austin to write a song together. And we immediately, even though we could go to each other's houses if we wanted, but something very special about going to this really special place called House of Song. And Patricia and I had this, we just started immediately sharing ideas of where we were at that time. And what we wanted to share with the world was the abundance. Abundance, by now it was like, things were, a lot of unrest was happening. And we're just feeling like we need this abundance of love, abundance of understanding. And, abundancia was a word that was rolling off of Patricia's tongue. And I thought, oh my God, that is so gorgeous. And, she brought this melody out, and it's like, we immediately like wrote the song within like an hour or two. This beautiful song that takes us, especially not knowing exactly what was in the future. But now that we know what was in the future, this is really, it's a stronger note with us. This is called Abundancia.
Juntos guardaremos el camino, buscaremos la felicidad. Subiremos juntos la montaña, donde descubrimos la verdad. Every moment is a living prayer. The music of life is everywhere. Butterflies are born and the tulips sing. Hallelujah, every spring. There are seeds of hope and silver linings. Darkness will give way to the sun shining.
Oh, I love it. Abundancia. It's our little lullaby for life. It really is. It really touches me. It's a lullaby for life. Yeah. I hope you all are enjoying this live stream. We wanted to share a little bit of the stories and the magic. It's kind of amazing how everything has come together and continues to come together. As Patricia said, it's like our ancestors are shining down and guiding us. And we started, here in Nashville, in my house, in mi casa, and Patricia and Tish had written Viva la Patria, and we were practicing here and singing, and we were given the opportunity to go into the studio with Imagine Recordings here in Nashville. And they bring in 25 to 30 people from around the world that get to actually wear headphones and witness the experience of the recording session. So we didn't know we were going to be making a record. They just happened to be in Nashville. We said, hey, let's do this. And that's really how it started. So we had Viva la Patria. And then the girls said, hey, Stephanie, what songs do you have that you might want to bring to the table? And I'd actually written this next song 15 years ago with my co-writers, Mark Marchetti and Jack Williams. I had just had my daughter. And, you know, everybody tells parents when you have a child, you can't imagine this kind of love. And I tell people jokingly, but I mean it. Like, I would eat a bear for my daughter. You know, I couldn't believe how much I loved this human being. And I got to thinking, you know, as I was there with her when she was little, I can't even imagine being a mother and my daughter's life being in danger, or she might be hungry. I would do whatever it took for her, whatever it took. And from that love, that fierce love, came this song about a woman crossing the border in the middle of the night, carrying a baby in her arms. The baby's name is Esperanza, which means hope, y'all.
Esperanza, the baby in her arms. She is a hope that she carries like a candle in the dark. Esperanza, she says, mija, don't you cry. Your mama's gonna make sure you have a better life. Esperanza, 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 Esperanza,
Esperanza.
Oh my gosh, so amazing. So then another magical thing that happened on our journey was being connected with people that Stephanie had been connected with earlier, like 2 years ago, and working on some project and some songs that were about border and, you know, issues. And she totally gave us this opportunity because she felt that these songs coming up were something that we could do together as the Texicana Mamas. And we were connected with a wonderful producer and writer and wonderful businessman, and, you know, has this incredible place called Hermes Music Foundation in McAllen, Texas. Alberto Creamerman is a producer, writer, and he totally like invited us down to South Texas, to the Rio Grande Valley, to record and also to make some music videos. You can't believe how quickly this thing all happened. Songs about the border. We were on the border. We like everything happened there. We actually saw some people being arrested on the border while we were videoing our music videos. And everything touched so close to home. And not only that, but the COVID virus was like encompassing us. Like we were like getting really, really deep into like where the state of Texas was like closing down. And we were like on the last days of recording these things, which is an amazing thing how all of this happened. But so we so much thank everyone that worked with us, our producers, the music, you know, everyone that participated in the video and the songs that we recorded there. So we have a song called Amor Sin Fronteras, Love Without Borders, that we were actually literally recording and taped down there. So here we go, Amor Sin Fronteras, Love Without Borders.
Hola amigos, soy Alberto Kramerman from Hermes Music Foundation. This song is the voice of millions of people, millions of human beings like you, like me. They come to this beautiful country to have the American dream, el sueño americano. In this moment, we all belong to only one race, the human race, and we need more understanding, more harmony, more amor, más amor sin fronteras, sin miedos, sin odios. Después de todo, we are all immigrants. Todos somos inmigrantes. Por eso, el mensaje de mi canción. Más amor. Amor sin fronteras.
Tú me necesitas igual que yo a ti. Yo a ti te respeto y exijo lo mismo.
Amor sin fronteras, amor es la paz.
Oh, I love it. I love Alberto. Yeah, we want to
So
thank
funny.
everybody. So touching. We want to thank everybody, obviously, at the Hermes Music Foundation, Juan Alvarado, Ahmed Medina, who produced these tracks, and obviously Alberto. You know, it's again, we keep talking about this story of magic, of meant to be, of destiny, truly of destiny. I was invited to go and sing 5 years ago now for Don Miguel Ruiz, one of my teachers who wrote the Four Agreements. And I was invited to sing and be the music there. And that's where I met Alberto Kramerman. And we kept in touch. And a couple of years ago, he invited me down, the Hermes Music Foundation, down to McAllen to sing for the refugees. And this organization gives guitars and music and food to help people that are coming into their new life, into their American dream. And it was so touching. I was there with Sister Norma and Alberto and all of their people. And after we finished singing, he invited me down to Hermes Music. He said, "You got to see this new project that we're working on." They were working with this big artist, Latino artist, Maria, and they had written this song called Sueño Americanos, the American Dream. And they were just finishing the video. And it was so powerful. And I watched it with tears in my eyes. And at the end of it, I just said, "Oh, Alberto, I really wish this song was in English because I really want the gringos, the Americans, to understand this journey, this story." And of course, his eyes lit up. And he says, "Will you translate it into English with my son, Luis Kramerman?" And by the way, there was already these amazing giant Latino writers on it. Alberto was a writer on it, and Mario Dam, Erica Ender, Monica Velez, who'd written giant hits from all over the world. And I said, "Well, I would be honored." And so 2 years ago, we translated it into English. And I flew back down to McAllen, and the song was a guitar vocal. And it just didn't feel like it fulfilled what it needed to do or say. And so it came back to Nashville. And actually, we put mariachis and cellos and to bring in the drama and of this story. And then we realized, oh my gosh, this is a Texicana Mama song. This should come from the mamas, from the heart of the mamas to the people. And so we got to finish this with Rick Del Castillo in Austin. Again, in February of this year, Ahmed Medina produced it with Alberto Kramerman. You guys, this is the story of an immigrant, of the harrowing tale of someone longing for a better life. And I can't help but think about my ancestors, my great-grandfather Manuel, who crossed in 1901, and the immigrants who came from Italy and Scotland and Germany not so long ago. Everyone who is here came for the American dream.
10 years have come and gone. My family's finally with me, though it took so long. Our faith made us believers. I'm so proud of my children. They are dreamers. There's a border between us, but we're not far apart. We're all boys who love with the same same human heart. We're all born with the same human
Sueño Americano. Wow.
What a memory.
What a moment, really.
Yes.
Amazing. Juan Alvarado, thank you for you and your team for taking such good care of us and filming this video. It's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, the video, and we just thank you for letting us transmit this beautiful story everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That was filmed in Mission, Texas, right on the border, in a chapel, beautiful La Lomita Chapel. So, bendiciones. So this next song is very ebullient, one of my favorite songs ever written. It's called Canción del Mariachi, written by Los Lobos. And this was featured in my brother's film, Desperado, with Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. And this year celebrates the 25th anniversary of my brother's blockbuster film. So I'm so proud of mi hermano. I'm so excited that we have it on the album. And the story behind that is we were rehearsing Viva la Patria at Stephanie's house in Nashville, getting ready for our first recordings at Imagine Recordings the next day. We needed 4 songs. We had 3, but we didn't have the 4th. So as we were rehearsing, there was a knock on her door, and Stephanie said, "Oh my gosh, ladies, I'm so sorry. The mariachis are early." I went, "Mariachis?" I ran to the door, whipped it open. I said, "Pásale."
That's really how it is.
I said, "Do you know the song Canción del Mariachi by Los Lobos?" And they pulled out their instruments and we jammed, grabbed my guitarra, I was singing, and from start to finish, at the end of the song, Tish and Stephanie are staring at me and I think, that is going on our album. So check this video out. Let's sing along. Woo!
Mi caballo por la sierra ya me voy, las estrellas y la luna ellas me dicen dónde voy.
Ay, 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 mi amor, ay, mi morena de mi corazón. Ay, 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 mi amor, ay, mi moreno de mi corazón. Ay, 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 mi amor, ay, mi moreno de mi corazón. ¡Échale, mariachi! Me gusta tocar guitarra, me gusta cantar el sol. Mariachi me acompaña cuando canto mi canción. Me gusta tomar mis copas, aguardiente es lo mejor. También el tequila blanco con su sal le da sabor. Ay, 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 mi amor, ay, mi moreno de mi corazón. Ay, 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 mi amor, ay, mi moreno de mi corazón.
I love it. Well, you guys, I'm going to take you all back just a little bit. About 15 years ago, I was in Nashville again. I was a songwriter for Sony Music. And I was like, hey, where are the Latinos? There was no Latinos on Music Row. I mean, really, it's country music. and we're all listening to it. We're all, but where are we? So I heard down on Music Row that there was this Latino by the name of James Slater. And I got a writing appointment with him. And again, it was magic. We had so much fun. So fast forward 15 years later, the Texicana Mamas, Patricia calls me. We call the Bluebird. We get the gig at the Bluebird. We need one more Latina. She calls Tish. Then we need one more person in the round. And so we say, let's call James Slater. And he was part of the magic that very first night. What do you say, girls? Tell a little bit more about James Slater.
Oh my God. He's Colombiano by his mother's, ancestry. But we totally connected so well. All four of us that night. He plays that amazing piano with the Latino like rhythms and stuff. Like, he totally got what we were, even before we got it, I think. He was playing along, did amazing. And so we prepared a song for our recording at Imagine that included him and his songwriting. And, his song called The Life, which is a beautiful, poignant story about a fisherman in Mexico and how the importance of the simplicity of life is something that we all should respect and aspire for. It's not the material things in the world. It's it's who we are, and it's the things that we love. And so he like with this song, The Life, just taught us a lot about life. And so we're going to show you a little bit about James Slater and The Life, and we will go on from there.
Hey there, Tish, Patricia, and Stephanie, the Texicana Mamas. I'm so proud to have this song on your record because you girls are like a good shot of tequila. You're fantastic. You tienes fire. You have passion, alma, corazón, y vida. So, this song is a song called The Life. I wrote it with my buddy Casey Beathard a few years back, and we were very honored to have Kenny Chesney record this song. He put it on one of his albums, and Kenny Chesney's fantastico. Then the Texicana Mamas heard it and did their own version of this song. So I just want to say thank you. It's a song about less is more. Unless you're talking about tequila, where more is better than less. I love you. I'll sing it for you because I fish. I play my guitar and laugh at the bar with my friends. Go home to my wife, pray every night. I get to do it all over again. I wanna fish with the Texicana Mamas, play my piano and laugh at the bar with my friends. Go home to my wife and pray every night. I can hang with the Texicana Mamas, The Life, and Kenny Chesney, and the tequila and the maracas, and we get to do it all over again. Te mando amor, I love you. Bye.
And just finish, play my guitar, laugh at the bar with my friends, go home to my life, pray every night, I can do it all over again. Just finish, play my guitar, laugh at the bar with my friends, go home to my life, pray every night, do it all over again.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so I just want to say one more thing about where we are and how this whole album of ours. Please remember to find our record out there because it's so special. The Texicana Mamas. And so we have to also go back to this point where we were like putting songs together for the record for our album, and we wrote several songs, and we like had influential people, and we were thinking like, who else has been influential to us? And all of a sudden, I mean, of course, all three of us said Linda Ronstadt. She's, you know, I'm a little older than my younger sister, mis little hermanitas, Patricia and Stephanie. Pero um, Linda Ronstadt to me was like a big sister. I mean, I was the youngest of a large family, and I didn't have younger sisters, so that's why I'm so happy to have Patricia and Stephanie. But um, Linda Ronstadt to me, when I discovered her, when I was like, because we listened to a lot of radio in my house, both my parents' Mexican radio station and the pop radio stations. And Linda Ronstadt just like sprung out of the radio when I was like 10 or 12 years old. And immediately, like, I connected with her voice. And I was one of those fans that was calling the radio station asking to play that song, different drummer. And anyway, so then later I was so proud once I became a songwriter and a artist in my own time, and she recorded my song Donde Voy, and we've been in touch over the years. And I'm so proud and so happy, but I'm so glad that we as girls, Stephanie and Patricia and I, just appreciate all three of us what she has meant to our culture and to us as female singer-songwriters. And so we wanted to record this beautiful song with gorgeous harmony called Lo Siento Mi Vida, that she was involved in with, and she wrote this song with her father and with Kenny Edwards back in 1975, 6. Anyway, this is one, it's a beautiful song. It's a little sad, pero it's a beautiful song. And so we hope that we did some justice to the song, and we're really proud of it.
Lo siento, mi vida. Yo sé que ya terminó. Corazones quebrados. Esperanza que se fue cuando brille la luna. Yo sé que no dormirás, ni tú, ni yo. Ya ha llegado el triste pesar. Debemos siempre separarnos, siempre
Linda. It's so touching. It was so touching, and it was so meaningful, that Linda Ronstadt influenced all three of us, and that she recorded a song that Tish had written, and that we got to record a song that she wrote. Just really was so meaningful. And again, we really want to honor the people that have come and been a big part of making us who we are. I really want to do a quick shout out to Dr. Kathleen Hudson and Janice Ballard, who are the integral parts. Obviously, Kathleen Hudson is the founder of the Texas Heritage Music Foundation, y'all. Of course, they wouldn't toot their own horn, but I will, because I have been blessed to be invited by this organization to bless people. What they do every single month is they make sure that Texas heritage, Texas musicians, Texas songs and stories are carried to nursing homes, to the VA hospital, to the special needs homes, to the Girls and Boys Club. They make it so that people that can't get music can have it brought to them. I can't tell you how meaningful it has been to me to be able to sing the White Christmas or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Crazy, a song that everyone knows and loves, and to take it into these people who are longing to remember. You know, music is the longest held memory we have before we pass from this world to the next. And the Texas Heritage Music Foundation makes sure that people of all walks of life are honored. And they make ways for us to honor the heritage of Texas music. We're the only state in the country that does that, you guys. And we want to thank Kathleen, Dr. Kathleen Hudson, Janice Ballard, and all the angels out there with the Texas Heritage Music Foundation for making tonight possible, for us to bring you our story, to celebrate the SA6 and this special night of hearing about inspiration and miracles that all came together. Well, I want to make sure y'all stay after this first hour's program because we are actually going to be inviting Dr. Kathleen Hudson back. She's going to be sharing with us her book that will be out this November called Corazón Abierto. It is the Mexican American voices in Texas music. It is a collection of voices from different locations in Texas and around the world. Some represent voices from the edge, while others give us a view from the center, weaving together a tapestry that combines family, borders, creativity, music, food, and community. It presents an image as varied and difficult to define as the musicians themselves, by sharing the artists' accounts of their influences, their experiences, their family stories, and their musical and cultural journeys. Corazón Abierto reminds us that borders can be gateways, that differences enrich rather than isolate. We're so honored to be talking with Dr. Kathleen Hudson, and thank you again to the Texas Heritage Music Foundation for making tonight possible.
Beautifully said.
And back to you, Patricia.
Well, I think we should dedicate this song to those strong women that allowed tonight to happen. And it also goes out to all of our girlfriends. When Stephanie and Tisha and I got together, we wanted to write a song about sisterhood, girlfriends, that incredible bond that you would not trade for anything in the world. They are with you. They've got your back. You know, when someone's got your back, you know your girlfriends are there. It's called Girlfriends of the Heart, Friends of the Heart, Amigas de Corazón. And it does feature, this is a dream come true for us, Flaco Jimenez and Max Baca perform on this song. But I do want to give a shout out to my brother-in-law in Mexico because he drives it home. He said, I wish men had amigos de corazón. Take this video. Flaco.
Hello, I'm Flaco Jimenez and viva la Texicana Mamas. Oh.
I can depend on Mexico's Virgen to help me through my troubled times. My amigas and all of my tias to make everything fine. Ay, 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 mis amigas, let's go have some fun. Ay, mis hermanas, amigas del
Amigas del corazón.
De corazón. You got it.
We
I know
hope
we
you
want to thank
enjoyed hearing our stories and the stories behind our songs. You've gotten a little clip and a little taste, a little appetizer of the Texicana Mamas. Be sure and go join our Facebook And also you can go to our website, www.thetexicanamamas.com, the news, all the reviews, and you can buy a CD or get a download. Be sure and stay with us. Right after this, we're going to be having that interview with Dr. Kathleen Haskett and Corazon Abierto, and then a meet and greet with the Texicana Mamas.
And we want to invite you, we're teaming up with Voto Latino, you guys, to make sure you are registered to vote. So it's really easy. Just go to votolatino.org and it'll just take 2 minutes and you'll be ready to vote in November. Your vote is our power. Estamos en la lucha. Voto Latino, vote period, you guys. Vote.
Totally. Yes.
We'll see you soon. Gracias, amigos.
We want to thank you all. Thanks to our musicians. Thank you to Philip Nelson and Elko Media, the TCA, Texas Commission on the Arts. Everybody, amigos, amigas, tías. Gracias, y'all. Happy 16.
Okay, Philip, do I unmute?
Me gusta tocar guitarra, me gusta cantar el son. Mariachi me acompaña cuando canto mi canción. Me gusta tomar mis copas, aguardiente es lo mejor. Llamen el tequila blanco con
I'm on the
sus
Skype
sábanas,
call, but we're not going to use it.
ay, ay, mi amor, ay, mi moreno de mi corazón. Ay, ay, ay,
If I turn the video off, I think my voice.
ay, mi moreno de mi corazón.
Gracias, y'all. Well, you guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Stephanie Ordvina Jones.
I'm Tishina Hosa.
And I'm Patricia Vaughn.
And we are the Texicana Mamas. So we've got a special thing happening for y'all. We're honored to have the author of Corazon Abierto on the phone here. Her name is Dr. Kathleen Hudson. She's an author. She's a professor. She's an amazing amiga de corazón. And we're going to be asking her a little bit about this book. You want to say hello, Kathleen?
Hello, hello.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
You're coming through. We can hear you. She's coming from
great.
outside of Kerrville, Texas. So I'm going to go ahead, Kathleen. I'm going to read just a little bit about your book. We're so excited that I know you've been working on this book for quite some time. It's been living with you, and I've been honored to witness your process. But I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about Corazon Abierto. So here it says, the very beginning, it says, Flaco Jimenez, who is included in this book, he says, I wanted the music. Flaco Jimenez. It says, the Mexican-American voices in Texas music, Corazon Abierto provides a wide view of the contributions of Mexican-American artists have made to music in Texas and the United States, based on interviews with longtime stalwarts of Mexican-American music, Flaco Jimenez, Tish Hinojosa, Ernie Durawa, Rosie Flores, and obviously the Texicana Mamas, who are on the cover. Ay, gracias. Maria Rose, Josh Baca, and many more. Kathleen Hudson allows the musicians to tell their own stories. It says, in a unique and personal way, as the artists reveal their free-ranging discussions with Hudson, their influences go far beyond traditionally Mexican genres like conjunto, norteño, and tejano, to extend into rock, jazz, country, western, zydeco, and many other styles. Hudson's surveys also includes essays and poetry and other creative works by Dagoberto Gil, Sandra Cisneros, right, and others. She says it describes as a collection of voices from different locations in Texas. Some represent voices from the edge, while others give us a view from the center, weaving together a tapestry that combines family, borders, creativity, music, food, and community. The book presents an image as varied and difficult to define as the musicians themselves. By sharing the artists' accounts of their influences, their experiences, their family stories, and their musical and cultural journeys, Corazón Abierto, I love this, Corazón Abierto reminds us that borders can be gateways, that differences enrich us rather than isolate. Mujeres, give it up for Kathleen Hudson. Well, we wanted to turn the tables on you, Kathleen, and we wanted to see if we could get some information about your process. So I'm going to turn it over to my hermana Tish Hinojosa.
Kathleen, like we've known each other since like, oh my gosh, I want to say 1980-ish.
I moved to Kerrville in '84 and started working with Rod Kennedy for a year before the Shriner University. So I met you in the late '80s, and we've had all kinds of experiences together, and you're in all three of my oral histories.
I know, it's like, I love that. No. And I think we've known each other since like mid '80s, when I was like, I won the Kerrville Folk Festival like songwriter thing in like 1979, and that qualified me as a songwriter. So, but then after that, we became friends because we were hanging out with a lot of the same people and songwriter friends, my friend James McMurtry, and, you, and we all had such a wonderful, we were like the up and coming like songwriters of Texas, and you really supported us.
Well,
and there's like, that was even before I became really strong Mexican American. Like I was just country.
Well, you were in my first book, which was a collection of interviews with Texas songwriters, and I had a pretty new PhD with a focus in writing. And of course, I love literature and poetry. And so when I interviewed people, it wasn't from the perspective of journalism. And I didn't even realize what I was doing until after I finished, and I realized I had an oral history. And then, of course, John Lomax popped up, and I realized that he collected cowboy songs as an academic, and I was collecting stories. And that's when the trail started. My, just how excited I was to talk to James McMurtry when he had written 5 songs when I first met him in San Antonio, banging on doors to play. And the same thing with Towns and Guy Clark and you. So that was the beginning of this journey that we're celebrating today in 2020. And the ending is the publication of a 3rd oral history. So it's magic and
it's magic and crazy how we connect with people, like, like how James and I and you and, like we were like, James and I were friends. So we made friends crazily. Just as people. It'll have to be a whole new chapter how we actually met. I was playing in some little crazy bar in San Antonio, and he was the guy standing at the back of the room. And I was so embarrassed because it was after Nashville, and I had been told a total failure in Nashville. I came back to San Antonio. My mother was dying, and I had a new baby. And, like, I'm just like trying to like take care of my mother and, do something like, try to keep playing music. And James showed up at one of my gigs because he was like there doing this like renovation of one of those old buildings with one of these old steakhouses or something. that his dad's had been involved in. Like, anyway, it's like the whole thing was crazy. He was the only person listening to me playing folk songs at this club on St. Mary Street, like in those days. And that's how we became friends. Like, he helped me pack up. He helped me pack up my PA system, and he said, "Hey, you're pretty good. You're pretty good." I'm like, "Thank you." Anyway, that's how we became friends, and we became lifelong friends. Like, I mean, I was, his godmother to his son, and anyway, we've had a long history together since those days. But it's like, we're Texans and we are music people, and like that's the whole story of how we started. Like, we're crazy people that just like realize this thing. Like, why was he standing in that bar listening to my music and thinking that there's something here? Like, I have no idea. But he did. And then I did later. I invited him to New Mexico, where I went after my mother's death and reestablished myself in New Mexico. And he played with me, like he played lead guitar. And I got fired.
I think Kathleen is collecting some more stories for her next book.
No, because James had long hair and, wasn't quite the country guy that he was, I got fired from my job, and I didn't care because I totally trusted that James and I both had a better future for ourselves. So anyway, end of that story.
Well, I am so curious. Yeah, I'm so curious to know how long you have been working on this book, Kathleen. I know that you, I feel so blessed that I met you. You showed up, and you've been in my life for a good 15 years since you were at my baby shower. And I've always been, honestly, had so much respect for you. And you were the first person that brought me to Mexico as an artist. We want to know, like, when did this process start from your last book to the new book, and what was the inspiration, and kind of what has it taken to get this book to this place?
Well, my second book was an oral history of women in Texas music. And in that book, I worked and worked and worked, and it came out in 2007. And I just said, that's it. Because oral histories are hard. You have hours of interview, and you have to edit and transcribe. And there's a lot of it that's not fun. So I labored through that with the help of Mindy Reed on all three of my books in Austin, by the way. And then I said, that's it. And all of a sudden, I'm loving Mexico. I'm on the bus to Mexico. In 2013, 6 years after that second book came out, I was talking to Max Baca, Josh, Flaco, my friend Chumby Salinas, running around videoing everything I did. And all of a sudden I went, I've got to do this. So that was 7 years ago. So, the first book came out in 2001, but I'd been collecting interviews, not even for a book. I did a radio show at one time. So but what's really fun is you three have all been at Schreiner University. You've been in my class. I don't know if you remember, Tick, we showcased you and James McMurtry as Texas writers. I produce a writers conference in the spring, and Patricia Vaughn has spoken in my class. She's played the Coffee House, and so have you, Stephanie. So what's really fun for me is to look back and look at this table of contents and go, wow, I was at the Montreux Jazz Festival with Flaco when Dylan invited him to get up and play. And then I'm interviewing Flaco going to, celebrate his 80th birthday, and we talk about Dylan, inviting him to play. So I could go on and on about these threads. There's three really strong ones, and they go back to you three women, but there's about 30 interviews in the book. And so the inspiration was to share the stories I heard with other people. And that's the same inspiration I have to teach. Just like I want to share you all. If I could get you in every class I teach, I would be happy. But you all do such a great job in the classroom. And when this book goes on tour, and we go to academic conferences, and we go to groups of people interested in poetry and language, I'm going to be dragging one of you with me. I mean, this is just going to be.
I will be
We'll
there.
be there.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
I have a section called Other Voices at the beginning. And in that section, Sandra Cisneros, who lives in San Miguel de Allende, and we became friends. She donated a poem, and Dagoberto Gilb and Christine Granados and Stephanie Urbina Jones, Manuel's Destiny, became a voice in the literary section, as well as your interview. And the foreword was written by Hector Saldana. I had a hard time trying to put these things in place, but he wrote a beautiful column on Flaco's 80th birthday. And I know how much all of you love Flaco. And I thought, this is how we begin.
Well, that is so touching. So touching. And I want you to know that, when we're all talking about this, and for those of y'all who are watching, not only did she write this book, Corazón Abierto, that will be out in November about the Mexican American voices, she also is the founder of the Texas Heritage Music Foundation that does so much for so many people, our elders and the people that don't get music. But back to her story, I think it's so amazing that you have such a passion and a love for storytellers, for history, or for songs, and for the Mexican American culture. I can't think of a more important time. I know you've been working on this book, like you said, for many years now, but I can tell that it was meant to be this moment in time with the mamas coming out with our record so that we can shine the light on this beautiful culture on DSA6, right? So there you guys, you can see a copy of her book, Corazón Abierto, Mexican American Voices in Texas Music. You know them, you love them, and now you can read all about them. Kathleen, can you tell them where they can go pre-order this book?
Well, you can go to Texas A&M Press. Their website has the catalog, and it's pre-order now. I don't think the book is going to be out until November. They certainly were planning on DSE Saves, but I think we had some cultural roadblocks along the way. But this can be ordered right now, pre-ordered with Texas A&M Press on their website. And I'm just so excited to share these voices. I could not have planned this from the beginning. And, we all have a sense that other things are at work here. And this is all coming together at a moment where the book and these voices say to the world what I want to say about inclusion and about gateways and acceptance.
Who we are.
Yeah.
Well, Kathleen, we want to thank you so much for writing the book, for being believers in our music, for putting us on the cover of Corazón Abierto, but really for being who you are and celebrating the Texas heritage in music and stories and songs and everything that you do. I just have so much admiration, love, and respect for you. Is there anything else, Patricia, you want to say?
Thank you for including us all these years and coming to our shows and inviting us to your university and meeting your students and seeing how you work. I mean, that really is impactful for us. And for you to remember us in this book, really, it's an honor. Thank you, Dr. Kathleen.
Thank you so much.
I'm moved.
We'll be
and
cheering you
inspired.
on.
Thank you. I need. I'm teaching school at Shriner every day.
Well, thank
You're
you
a
so
force.
much, Kathleen.
Thank
Well,
you.
everybody, stay tuned because the Texicana Mamas are going to be answering any of your questions. People have been writing in questions over the last day to ask us. I know one of the questions that people asked, Patricia, I'll start with you. Who is your most influential artist? Would you say, or artist? Who would you say influenced you the most?
I'd say the mariachis from childhood. That was our foundation. I'm one of 10 children, and my mom and dad would invite them to our house for any occasion, really. And if you could just imagine it was either a trio or a quartet, and we could sing along. And that was how my mother taught us our second language, Spanish, was through mariachi music. You know, we could all sing along to Júrame. She'd always tell us the story behind the song, written by Maria Grever, or Agustin Lara, Armando Manzanero. And so, like, whenever we'd go to Mi Tierra as a family in San Antonio, that's where mom and dad were dating. He would take her to Mi Tierra, listen to the mariachi. So that is impressed on my heart forever. So I would say mariachi music and rock and roll.
Love it.
How about you, Tish?
And Tish, what about you, Tish?
Earliest childhood memory of music, like your connection to music.
Well, I have a lot. I have many connections. Like my parents listened to KCOR, which played beautiful traditional Mexican music, and programs. The Rosary at 6 p.m. every night. And but enough. You mentioned Maria Griever. Her grandson, Robert Griever, began the first Tejano label, ever called a Tejano label, in San Antonio in the early 1970s, because she was a very famous Mexican amazingly, she was like a very famed songwriter. She was, strange for Mexico to honor her, but Maria Griever was very popular. She wrote Júrame and all these other songs that I heard you mention, Patricia. Robert came to San Antonio after New York, being raised there. He owned his mother's publishing company. So he started a Tejano label. And I was one of the first artists on his Tejano label in 1972 or 3. But he didn't even know what Tejano was. There was no Tejano yet. I did 3 or 4, which I'm not that crazy to say it right now, singles of his label, which is called Lado A. His label was, and I did some bubblegum pop in Spanish songs, because he discovered me on the Riverwalk, I guess, heaven knows. But anyway, but I signed with his label, and that was later to become like the biggest Tejano label, Cara, which signed the band Mas, which Mas, M-A-Z-Z, became the huge, which they still are alive today, the biggest Tejano label or band. So, but I got lost in the mix because I didn't really want to be a Tejano artist. Like, I felt that I was more like a singer-songwriter, like Joan Baez, or, I didn't feel that I was a bubblegum pop person. But yes, I did do 3 or 4 singles that are still out on that label, and they can still be found if you're looking really carefully. So that's my history. My history with San Antonio and Tejano labels. I was on the very first Tejano label ever.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's amazing, Tish. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, for
How
me,
about you,
I will
Steph?
say that, well, we're all three, in case y'all didn't know, we're born in San Antonio. We're all from San Antonio.
Viva.
And my abuelito's house was 115 North Cibolo on the west side of San Antonio. And, it's just a really joyful place, this culture. And I still remember, at the beginning of our song Cocina de Amor, waking up to the roosters on the west side of San Antonio. And we would be in the backyard every Sunday, and it was like, everybody was our family. Everybody came. Everybody brought barbacoa or tamales. There was frijoles con arroz, cerveza. People just got around, and I can remember like the radio would be blasting country music because they were all raised on country music. Ray Price, Willie Nelson, Loretta Lynn, just all the greats. Merle Haggard, they'd be playing. And then it would all of a sudden just go into songs from Mexico. All of a sudden you would just be hearing these boleros. And then this is a really a true story that at that same place in their backyard, in the afternoons, we would start hearing mariachi trumpets and violins. And because the mariachis lived on the west side, y'all. So this is where they lived. This is where they rehearsed before they went down to the mercado to play for tourists. And so, I mean, still to me, that combination of those songs, country music and the sounds of Mexico and mariachis, they just, blended inside of me. And a few years later, my parents divorced and I moved to Fredericksburg, Texas, the little town that raised me. And we had the Kerrville Folk Festival. So songwriters were being recognized and honored. Tish was probably there when I was going as a little girl. and also we had honky tonks. My parents went two-stepping every single weekend. I'd be spreading the sawdust on the floor. And so, just that combination of all those songs, poets, stories with a guitar, Mexico, mariachi, country music, we're so blessed to be from Texas, aren't we, girls? I mean, just like all this music that makes us who we are. It's really amazing.
Exactly. And when I tour, and Tish, you can elaborate on this too, and Stephanie, we've all toured around the world, and when I do go to countries like Ireland and Poland and Germany, especially in Deutschland, but I tell them they're so appreciative of the music that I bring to them. I said, you know what, you all brought it to us. They brought the music to us with the polka. The Tejano music was because of the German and the Polish. When I was in Poland, I was like, my gosh, that sounds like Flaco Jimenez. I said, you brought it to us. I'm just bringing it back with castanets. And they're so amazed. They don't know that we have German towns and Polish and Irish. That's how todos somos inmigrantes. We're all immigrants. They brought it to us. Right, Tish?
Well, I have another question that someone wrote in. So I'll start with you, Tish. What was your favorite moment of making the record? The Texicana Mamas debut album. What was your favorite moment of making this record?
Our record, there are so many moments. Like, it started with our recording in Nashville, which was really special, even though it was really spontaneous. And, I felt that we didn't really know each other that well yet, but, it still had something. But however, as we morphed into more like a band, us three girls, I started feeling like the Emmy Lou, Linda, Dolly kind of thing. And once we got into McAllen singing together, and in Austin singing at Rick Del Castillo studio, like, my God, by the time we sang Lo Siento Mi Vida, I felt that we were really, really, together. Like, we really were like together on it. Like, we got our vocals, we all fell into our place. And, I can't wait for us to take this out into the public once again, like, you know, like we did at the Kennedy Center in Washington, you know, except only now we have all this more experience. And yes, absolutely. I think, you know, there have been lots of moments.
Thank you, Tish. What about you,
It's gonna be
Patricia?
great. It's gonna be wonderful, people.
Yes. One of my favorite moments of making the album, you know, it was so organic that every moment was magical. I loved the fact that we were writing our own music in Tish's kitchen and living room.
I love
And
that.
wasn't that amazing? And we were just
I
throwing
know.
out ideas. And I wish that we had recorded it on our phone memo, because I just remember we just sat down and we wrote three. One was almost finished. Abundancia, right? That was the one that just needed the voiceover, but it was already done. And then we did Cocina de Amor, Amigas de Corazón. But it was just like stream of consciousness. And we were just screaming words out. And then we just formed it into song. But I think,
And then we had pollo con arroz. Then we had pollo con arroz.
it just wrote itself. And then the Amiga song too. I mean, Stephanie just came out with late night phone calls, I hit a wall, and then we were into Frida and Diego, my life's a tornado, I'm low on dinero, I lost my novio. It was like bum, 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 bum. But it was real life experiences and having our sisterhood, you know, together. We feel like sisters and coming together and sharing not only our love of our culture, but also, you know, our resources. That's how we were able to book these places. I mean, it's just amazing to be able to bring our music out there. But
Well,
I
thank
love
you all.
every moment I have to say, especially that first time in Nashville. It was my first trip to Nashville. And my girlfriend Rosie Flores, she was there too, but she kept saying, "You got to come to Nashville," and I was like, you know, I don't know, it just never panned out until that fateful, you know, who could have planned it? My mother and father's 55th wedding anniversary, the night we played the Bluebird Cafe. So every moment's been magical, and I think that's why we're flourishing the way we are, because our ancestors have a mission for us with this music. Get it out there, and here we are with our first debut album, and Los Lobos is behind it, and they just sent us a quote, and we're covering their songs. So everything's just been moving like a very smooth wave. So I'm so thankful to you ladies, and I love you, my sisters, and yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think for me too, it's like, you know, I have a little brother and sister, half brother and sister that I was 12 years older than them. So when I was a little girl growing up on the west side of San Antonio, I was like, I want sisters. And I lived in this little house on Sunshine Street. And there was these two Latina girls that were my age that they lived next door. And I just remember, I don't remember a lot from that age, but I remember them and how much I loved them. And I loved the way that they lived and all the sounds in their house and the smell of their kitchens. And it's just like, it's been living in me, longing, you know, for this little dream. And so it's kind of a dream worth waiting for, to meet Patricia and Tish, and for us to find each other. It's been really so beautiful. And I kind of think about it, you know, it's like we had my daughter's quinceañera last year, and, you know, we were doing it on, you know, frijoles con arroz, and somebody brought in this and somebody brought in that. And, you know, we just have a little dream on any given day, and we go, okay, who's got what, you know? And we just make it happen. And I think one of my favorite moments is that the album was almost done. I actually couldn't be at the last recording session in Austin because COVID was hitting and they were shutting down, you know, the airports, and they had one shot to go in. And so I got to be a part of, you know, I was texting Tish and Patricia, you know, we're FaceTiming. And I'm like, I love that. I don't that. Can we change this? And I really, you know, I almost was having a meltdown, and they were so gracious and kind and loving to me. And I just had to kind of let go. And it was such a gift for me because it was better than I could have even imagined. These Latinas just like picked it up and ran with it. And I I heard the tracks the next day, and I was, taking a walk, and I was crying because I'm like, oh my God, this is like amazing. This is our culture. This is our dream. And I think it's, we want to tell everybody that the reason why we did this, the main reason besides, that we loved each other, was that we really wanted to celebrate our culture. We really wanted to tell a new story of Latinos at this time. This is our time, It's an exciting time to be proud of who you are and be proud of where you came from, the vibrant passion of our culture. It is our time, and we really wanted to come together and tell those stories in song. So we were thinking about this. We said, when are we going to put this album out? COVID's happening, maybe we should wait. They said, maybe you should wait another year. This is like March or April, we're finishing. And the three of us were like, no, we mamas were made for this time. This is our time to give our gifts, to give our joy, abundancia, cocina de amor, amigas del corazón, esperanza, the American dream. And so it was from that place of providence that everything just kind of unfolded.
We totally want to give this to everybody. Like, this is our gift, and it was our gift, and we want to pass it forward because we need this. We need this at this time. And thank you so much for letting us share. Gracias to all our amigos and our love and our family and family friends and fan friends. Thank you so much.
Tish, why don't you mention some of the musicians that played? We want to thank our musicians that played on here.
Oh,
from Steve Fishel at Imagine Recordings in Nashville.
We had a national crew. Steve Fishel, the people at the Imagine Studios, Brad Buford, is that his name? Like
George Bradfield.
George Bradfield. George Brugus. Like George was our, not only he's like been our gracious angel in Nashville, and also our Austin musicians. We have Marvin Dykehouse, we have Patterson Barrett, Chip Dolan, wonderful musicians that we had join us in Austin, Texas, and Glenn Kawamoto, our bass player, and Laura Mordecai, wonderful.
Yes.
That has been, she played with us at the Kennedy Center. She's amazing. And then our McAllen crew that Alberto Kremerman put together. Like we have, and we list like 30 musicians because this is a three-part, it's like a holy trinity of musicians that have played on this. And we're so blessed and honored to have wonderful musicians, and then us three, and then all our crew. We should thank our crew.
We should. Yes. Our manager, Preston Sullivan, Shoes Sullivan, his wife, Ramona, who puts up with us because she puts up with him.
Yes.
Right. Allison Auerbach and Aaron Morris, Stephanie Guerra, Alex Cortez, who does all of our web work.
Yes.
Who else are we missing, girls?
David Nichols, David Hernandez.
Oh yeah, all the artists on this project.
Who's been so helpful. Thank you all.
It takes a village. It takes a village.
And our spouses and loved ones who put up with us.
That's right. My husband, Jeremy Pager, and daughter, Zeta West.
Lynn, who's cooking in my kitchen over there. Getting my
everybody, before we go, we want to let you know, please go to our website, thetexicanamamas.com. Like us on Facebook, follow this journey, allow yourself to be inspired because magic is happening. Magic is possible, and we need to remember that that's possible during these hard times that we're going through, right? So get our CD, get inspired at www.thetexicanamamas.com. And I guess that's all, girls.
Yeah.
Adios.
Adios.
I love you.
Gracias.